Hello!
Hi.
We are live! It's Friday night!
Wait.
Guten Abend.
Oh! Guten Tag!
No, it's Guten Abend. We're in the afternoon into the evening, so it should be Guten Abend or Guten
I've
Nacht.
shared that into the wrong group again. Hello everyone! Tonight, Friday night, thank God it's Friday. I am so excited. So guys, tonight we are speaking about haunted asylums around the world. This is my favourite subject. I absolutely love anything to do with haunted asylums. If I had to pick a type of building, that would be my building because I just absolutely love it. So I'm just going to start. What that? Oh, I heard that, you cheeky bitch. You're lucky I love you. There you're putting me off. I'm nearly sharing the wrong group here. That's alright, I don't mind. If I get rejected, I get rejected. It's not the first time. so I'm quite used to it. But how is the devil? Is everybody?
Good. Oh, fantastic.
Perfect. I think we're going to have a problem with the comments again, guys. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to work it the way I can because it's getting a bit ridiculous with StreamYard just now. So I do apologise, guys, if you think we're ignoring you. We aren't. It's just a case of the comments are being an arse. So, haunted asylums, guys. I just got Tim's message there. I'm on. So, haunted asylums, guys. I have personally explored one and investigated one. I always talk about it because it's always my favourite. It is my favourite, and it's Lennox Castle. Now, I have been to Lennox Castle many a time. I've investigated it. Hi, Nigel. Nigel for the North Pole. There's 8 people in here, guys. Well, 5 now. But what I'll do is I'm going to go into Things Network and see who's commented. Oh, Nicola's there. Hi. I worked in one for over 20 years. Many a story to tell. Guys, please check out Whispering Ghosts. Whispering Souls Paranormal. Sorry, Nicola. They're really, really good. And Nicola's awesome. So Lennox Castle was a mental hospital, and when I tell you guys that honestly, I have been to many a place, and there's some places I'm taken with, and then there's other places that I'm not really that fussed about. But Lennox Castle blows my mind every time because when you go there, the atmosphere from day to night changes so radically. When you go up during the day, it's so calm and so peaceful. Hi, Nick says, hi guys, had to do some quick shopping, but I'll be home soon. You better bloody hurry up, boy. You better bring that dinner.
Well, I hope he brought us something.
Yeah, ice cream.
I know.
I have some apple.
Well, but the change from day to night is so. Nick's laughing. You laugh, boy. Wait till you get here, Lance Armstrong.
I'll have some Cheetos.
I'll have some cola. What do you want, Tim?
Pardon?
What would you like? Nick's getting the shopping. What do you want?
Oh, red wine, mate. Yeah, I like my wine, don't I? Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? It's proper. All you have to get.
But you like?
I've got some here,
so
look.
Oh, thank you.
Do you want some? Do you want some, Lo?
Aye, please. I'll open my mouth for you.
First time she
Come
said
on
that.
over.
Put a straw down.
It's like,
That's what she said.
oh, matron. Sorry, guys. The show's went veering off the cliff. Where was I? So the atmosphere for day tonight is quite very different. And as I said, during the day it's very, very peaceful. At night it's a different situation. When I go in, I automatically feel like I'm surrounded. But it's not like they're bad or they're thingy. They're just, they walk round, you almost feel people walking round you. Know how like in the prisons in America, in like UK, where they have a yard where they can go walking in and they're going walking round. Well, this is how it feels in Lennox Castle. And you can honestly feel like there's a lot of patients watching you. I have communicated with one of the patients there, and I communicated with another one who told me that they had pushed a doctor over the banister.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
I've been trying to find like some sort of evidence of this happening. I do apologise, that was my cat. You just can hear my cat go meow. But I've tried to find evidence of this happening. I can't say that I have ever found evidence for it. It could be, but then again, when you're exploring asylums, you don't know the person's history. So it could be delusions. So what they might be feeding you through the EVP, I would always research and check the background and see if you can find any evidence. Because obviously you don't know what the person's went through, but I find asylums absolutely brilliant. And if I had to pick one in the world to go and visit, it would definitely be Waverley Sanatorium in America. I've always wanted to go there because the way I want to see it is I want to compare, right, what it would be like doing a normal one in the UK, right, to one in the States. I want to see, is it as wild as what people make out it is over in America with asylums? And I can pretty imagine that many asylums across the world, not just America, not just the UK, but everywhere, you've got to remember there's some dark stories, and back in the day they were actually doing lobotomies that were illegal.
Yeah. Yeah, my auntie had that and she had depression, so that's what they done to her.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't really imagine having a lobotomy. But these mental asylums back in the day, they done the most horriblest thing. You were put in an asylum if you were like Down syndrome. If you had Down syndrome, you were put in asylums. If you were like unmarried and had a kid, you were put in an asylum.
You could actually pay.
Severe menopause.
You could pay to have somebody committed into an asylum. So I know a lot about the back history of asylums in the UK. Obviously being a learning disability trainer, we have to, well, we don't have to, but I choose to go through the history to say, look, this is what they endured. This is what it is now. This is what you've got to do. And like finding out that some of the asylums were actually privately owned, and you could literally pay somebody. If say you were a gentleman, you had a wife and a mistress, you could pay to have the wife picked up under whatever charge, witchcraft, whether it's they were barren, they couldn't bear children, suspected misdoings with other gentlemen, you can literally pay to have somebody taken out, like literally picked up, taken to the asylum. There was zero chance of escaping. You were treated all the same. Everybody was treated all the same. It was absolutely horrific to our standards now, but we haven't got the level of understanding surrounding disability and mental health without that happening.
I've worked in mental health, Belle, and do you know what? It's fascinating what you can find on the backstories, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Agree. Yeah.
Well, it's like we were saying. It was like we were saying the other day about Asperger's.
Yeah.
Nowadays it's just labelled ASD. That's it. End of.
Yeah.
If you want to go further and actually find out what form of ASD a person has, then it literally, you then have to go through a whole new lot of bureaucracy and red tape to actually get the full-on diagnosis. But when you look at the history on who Asperger was and what he used to do, he was one of many people. And it was just because he was a Nazi doctor at the time and he experimented on the prisoners in the concentration camps. And when he made that discovery, he got that label. But because of that history, that's now come back to bite him on the bum. But he wasn't the only person to do that sort of thing. People out of wartime and in peacetime were actually committing or conducting experiments on people under the name of mental health.
Yeah.
That's how they developed the lobotomy.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to quickly go into the comments, guys. So Nick's done the shopping for us. Nicola says you won't find evidences in years past medical and nursing staff do not press charges against patients when assaulted by patients, therefore only records would be medical and nursing notes, which you wouldn't be able to access. Tell me about it, Nicola. It's a shame. Nicola says that wasn't the asylum's fault, it was society's, definitely. Hey, Noreen. So I kind of went round the world to see what sort of asylums that I could find, and it's amazing the amount of ones that obviously I've did articles before about asylums, but I found other asylums. But the one that always stands out to me is in Singapore, the old Chang Hospital. It's located in Chang, Singapore. It used to be a Royal Air Force base, like sort of hospital, and then it was merged with another hospital and renamed. After it was closed in 1997, it sat abandoned for well over a long time. It's regarded as one of the most haunted hospitals in Singapore, because when you go dig deep, it was captured by the Japanese forces during World War II, and was used as a healthcare facility for prisoners of war detained at the military base nearby. It's been said that the uneasy feeling of the visitors were probably brought to people who lost their lives in the hands of the Japanese. According to some people who's already been there, they've said they've heard doors getting slammed, they've heard footsteps, things getting thrown. It's absolutely, it's spooky. I would definitely love to go, definitely, but look at the amount of ones that you have in the UK as well. But when you've got one in Wales, you've got the Pool Park Asylum in Wales. Don't ask me how to pronounce the village, because there's no chance I'm pronouncing the village.
Go on, go on.
No. Oh, it's like, come on, you help me, lad. It's is it Claw? No, I'm not saying that. It's in North Wales. CLAWDDNEWY Sorry, WYDD.
Right, say that again. CLAW.
DD, double D's.
Right.
NEW.
EW.
YDD.
YDD. So it's Clywedd is.
Right.
Is.
So,
Clywedd.
right.
Double D is there.
Double
D is there. And what WYD is with.
Right. So that place in North Wales is a former mental hospital. It hasn't housed patients since 1989. The manor's completed with a beautiful staircase. Was a family home in the 1800s before it accommodated overflow patients from another asylum in the 30s and 40s. The paranormal investigators who've explored it have said that they've heard noises, saw shadowy figures, and thrown stones at the asylum. One's even said they got an unexplained bruise after his visit. Today, the former hospital belongs to Robert Holmes, who has any plans to demolish it or change it. But definitely, it looks really, really beautiful. It does look beautiful.
Well, they've got a pool park, Lo, in Ruthin, which is in Denbighshire, and the pool park that's in Ruthin has got an absolutely stunning staircase. Honest to God, it's beautiful, fabulous place inside. But that was like the overflow for Denby Nut House, as we call it, Denby Asylum in Denbighshire. And so the pool park was the overflow. But the Denby it's extremely haunted. And years and years and years ago, we were talking before about people's records and that, they'd actually left a load of people's records in the cellars.
Wow.
And I've seen a few of them. So people's business was left there.
Yeah.
You know, they just left them.
Do you know, funny enough, I'm not going to name the location. I went to a location to explore today, Urbex Exploring. Now, I know that's a very grey area and a lot of people disagree with Urbex Explorers, right? At the end of the day, I do it respectfully. I don't do it unrespectfully. But when I went into this place, and it's so beautiful, and the inside, I actually seen, believe it or not, right, this is only came into my head, this is why I'm telling you this part, but when I went into a room, I turned round and I let the biggest scream out me, because I thought there was a guy that was there with me, because a guy bypassed me. I can still describe him. He was bald, he was maybe about 5'11", nearly 6 foot, and he walked by me. Now, bearing in mind, see the room that I was in, see at the very bottom of the corridor, you've got obvious. It was Tim. I bet it was Tim too. So maybe that was a premonition. I was meeting Tim in a later life. So the guy walks down, right? Like walks down the corridor. I let it scream out because obviously I hadn't seen. Like obviously because it was only me and my friend. There was no one else in the building. So obviously I got a fright. So I ran out and it gone. Absolutely gone, but there's nowhere else he could go.
Yeah.
He would need to come back up the way. But no, it was freaky. So anyway, as we were saying, so we were exploring and it was a room that we went into and there was still paperwork. There was still paperwork like everywhere. Yeah. And I'm like that. This is breaking, well, what I would consider was that it's breaking GDPR. Yeah. Aye, it's breaking that. So it was kind of like gobsmacked to see all this paperwork, and I was like, holy shit. And I was looking at it, and like, no properly reading it, but I was looking at it, and I was like, holy shit, how could they leave like all this paperwork behind that people could go and easily read and do whatever with? And it's just like, Jesus Christ. So yeah, you kind of brought that up for me there when you were talking about, obviously, all the paperwork getting left behind.
Yeah. So you don't expect that, do you? You really would
No.
not expect that.
No.
I mean, these days,
not.
everything goes, after so many years, it goes into safe archive places. By law, you've got to send it there and keep it safe, all that, blah, blah, blah. But them days, they didn't see. They just shoved them in a box or in a file or put them in the cellar and left, and they're forgotten.
Oh, definitely. Tim, what about you? Because you've not really spoken, so I'm going to put you on the spot. You tell me about a mental asylum.
Oh, well, we've got St Crispin's, haven't we?
Ah.
St Crispin's is like a quarter of a mile from me. And it's basically a ruin now, but I don't know if I would think a lot of people have heard of that mental asylum in the UK, haven't they?
To be fair,
what's it called again, Tim? What's the name? What is the name of the building? St
Crispin's Mental Asylum.
See, I've heard that name, St Crispin's, but that was years ago, and I can't remember what it was.
Northampton used to be a really premier place within the country years ago, and there was a lady called what was her name now? I can't remember. Anyway, she shot Mussolini.
Sorry.
She actually shot Mussolini in the face.
Right.
Twice. And he survived. And she was shipped back to she was sent back to the UK and spent the rest of her days in St Crispin's Hospital. He survived. And when she died, she's up the cemetery just up the road. But it's a really haunted place. It's ruins now. It's all been built on. The area's all built on. And, I wonder if these people who moved into these new flats and houses, what they're going to pick up, because it is so haunted there. Her name's Violet. I can't remember the last name now.
It's funny
she shot Mussolini, and she's there.
Yeah, it's funny you should say about there's houses on it now, and whether they pick up. I don't know. I got asked years ago with one of my first groups. There was a housing estate on Manchester. Don't know where it was. I didn't go there, and that was built on an old cemetery or something like that. Well, the people were having amazing things going on in the houses, and they had to go and have it, the whole estate exercise. Imagine that.
I know.
They'll be running off into next door. So you're doing one house, they're running away.
Right. 2 seconds, guys. I've got to go in the comments because the comments are building. Noreen says, I like to have the patients who were relocated to our nursing homes when the asylums were closed. I swear to God, I'm getting mushed by these comments. Some of the long-term effects from the treatment. Don't you agree, Bella? I can see you at the corner of my eye. They received were heartbreaking. Hiya, Robert. Noreen says there was one attached to the couch. Counters of yeah. Hi, Siobhan. Welcome to the show. Hi, Adriana. Hi, Nicola. Hi, Adrian. he is shopping just now. So I'm hoping that he brings me back something special. Nicola says, I think as many staff as patients haunt asylums. I really do think, I actually quite believe that, Nicola. I actually heard of, I can't remember what asylum it was for the life of me, but apparently there's a nurse that haunts it, but she's very, very friendly. She isn't nasty. And honest to God, I would love to hear the stories of the old staff that used to work there, the old nurses. I would love to have a EVP session, a one-to-one with them.
Do you know what?
Right,
Do you know what, Lo? Talking, Noreen was saying about the diva. Well, one of my managers worked there for 30 odd years.
Wow.
And she's told me quite a few things. I think I will get it all down on tape.
Oh wow, you're lucky, devil. See, sorry, Tim, on you go, love.
Yeah, her name was Violet Gibson. It's just come to me now. Her name was Violet Gibson, and she shot Mussolini twice in the face.
Oh,
but she was sent back to Northampton, where I'm from, and she was put into St Crispin's Hospital until she died, and now she's buried in the local cemetery. I've tried to have a chat with her, and unfortunately not got nothing. But and she was only about 20 odd, early 20s when this happened. But yeah, she did, because obviously he was a nasty man. And there we are. Yeah.
Well, that's
that was the
interesting.
name.
You wouldn't put Mussolini with where you live. Where is it? Nottinghamshire?
No. Northampton, I am.
Northampton.
Yeah.
What you were just saying about old asylum grounds being built on and people living there and stuff, and I'm absolutely sure she won't mind me saying this, but there used to be an old site. So I'm West Midlands based. There used to be an old site called Hatton County Lunatic Asylum that was on the outskirts of Warwick. And it closed its doors in 1995. It stopped being a lunatic asylum site in 1995. Now, a lot of the original structures are still there. Now, the main residence where their most high-risk patients were, they were kept in like this absolutely grand building. Where my sister lives, you literally walk out of her front door and probably 25 yards in front of you, there is that building. They have converted it into apartments.
No.
And you go there's like columns that you go through, and it's like a square, a hollowed out square.
Yeah.
And I've been out there a fair few times. I've wandered around the estate with the K2 meter with my niece, who's very interested in it. But yeah, it didn't close its doors until 95.
Wow.
They had an on-site cemetery that has now been built over, and they are now developing again at the bottom of the site nearest the Birmingham Road. And it stirs everything up. Whenever they're building there, it stirs everything up. All the animals start going nuts on the estate. The dogs are howling at all hours of the night for absolutely no reason whatsoever. But yeah, I tried to get in there once it was empty before they started converting it into houses. I tried to get in there, but yeah, I was met with some quite hefty steel gates and security guards, so I couldn't.
See, that is the problem, is that many of these, oh my God, my hair looks like Russell Brand. Seriously, my hair looks like Russell Brand.
Hello, you're gorgeous.
Thank you. You make me blush. So, what was I saying? Before I said Russell Brand, but this is a problem. There's many asylums that we love to get into, but they're very heavily guarded. See, the thing about it is this, is at the end of the day, you know, you have good people out there who will respect the building, who will respect the building. And do you know what my ideal night would be? Locked in an asylum, like grave encounters, live, like actually stay there for 12 hours. And I've always said I would go to Lennox Castle, and I would spend a full night there, like spend the full day and full night there to see and monitor the change, because seriously, it's phenomenal. So I'm going to go into comment. Adrian says,
Phenomenal.
sometimes very true. There's one at Century Manor in Hamilton, Ontario, a nurse that is still on the grounds. Oh, you need to tell me about that one. Noreen says, I worked with a lot of old Denver nurses. I got a lot of stories offline.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Hi, Nicola says it's interesting, Tim. Noreen says the energy in the asylums must be high. Hi, Kelly. Haven't seen you for a long time. That's Kelly from Australia. She's brilliant, honest to God. Nicola says, I will do Lennox Castle with you. Honestly, Nicola, that would be amazing. You and me should do it, definitely. And Bill, you should everybody, come on, let's go. Adrian says, I'm in. Awesome. I'm glad that you're in. But yeah, it is. It's honestly, these asylums, right, guys, here's the thing. There is one in Irvine was one in Irvine called Ravens Park Asylum. And that got knocked down and flattened in houses. Now, I was told recently that none of the people who originally bought the houses are still there. It's all you people. Now, that makes me wonder what exactly drove the people out. Hi, Sarah Louise.
Hello.
That's what makes me wonder what drove them out, because I'm thinking to myself, obviously, they've bought the houses. I would love to buy a house in top of asylum just to see the activity. I wouldn't actually want the house for the house. I would want it because of the grounds that it was actually built on, because I'm fascinated with asylums. I don't know what it is, but I really am fascinated with them. The problem is this, folks. People go and explore these places. Now, I absolutely detest this word. Even though I'm interested in demonology, I hate the word demon being thrown about.
Yeah.
Like, there's demons in asylums. No, there's no. It's just patients who you put yourself in their shoes. How would you feel about being locked up in an asylum? How would you feel about getting a lobotomy done? How would you feel about, the torture? Because there is things that happen in these places. And it's always good to listen to the stories. So
there's a lot of negative that saturates, isn't there? Like you've got the negative from the patients, you've got the negative from the staff, you've got the negative from the families. You take 100 years worth of that negative every single day.
Yeah.
It's going to soak into the walls, the ground, the earth.
Absolutely.
All of that energy has got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
I think they're the most energetically charged places you will ever find. Those in prisons are the most just intense.
Do you know what, Bill? I was disappointed because I got into a jail once in Scotland called Stirling Jail, and I have to say I was really sorely very disappointed with the place. Really, I was expecting more, and I never got it. But any sort of activity that I've got that's blew my mind has always been asylum.
Yeah.
Always been asylum. There is one in Canada. Adrian, you help me out here. You tell me if I'm wrong. right? And it's called Tranquil Sanatorium. It's in Canada, and it was built in 1900. What?
Tranquil.
Tranquil, seriously?
I'm sure I've heard of it. I think I think a team that I follow have been there.
It was built in 1907 as a ranch before the owners began caring for TB patients. A small community known as Tranquil was built around it. The community has its beautiful gardens, houses, a farm, a fire department, and more facilities. In 1958, the hospital closed and was reopened in 1959 to treat the mentally ill, and it closed permanently in 1983. However, not everything is tranquil at the sanatorium. Spirits persist in knocking about the place. The years of isolation and sadness seems to have observed into the surroundings, and on occasion these emotions can be felt by the living, and haunting encounters can occur. So today's strange, I hate this subject. Today's strange floating orbs throughout the facility, feelings of sadness, unease, dramatic temperature changes. There's been stories about mysterious voices and ghostly figures. One of a nurse who was brutally murdered by a patient. Now, I must admit, I have noticed it myself. Dramatic temperature changes where it's like really, really warm, and then suddenly it's really, really cold, and it's unexplained. Noreen says, when you think of the pain and suffering of some of the patients, I would imagine it would have a lot of sadness and frustration and fear, and the energy. Adrian says, because Happy has escaped from the asylum, maybe. Not me, I'm normal. Hi, Kay, how you doing, darling? And he says, Tranquil, Kamloops, BC. But Adrian says, now I need to take some extra time off. I know where I'm going. Yep, you know, damn sure. But now I'm lost. So, yeah, the asylums, the temperature change is really, really, it's really different. Nicholas says, I'm quite protective when talking about asylums, retired mental health nurse, but agree the negativity was felt as strongly by the staff as patients. Staff were badly assaulted as well. I witnessed horrific assaults on the staff. Please don't think we're doing this show and we're having a dig at the staff, honey. We're really, really not.
No.
We, in general, I could really believe that some of the staff get really, really badly treated, and it's really, really bad.
Do you know what? Do you know what? My first encounter with anything like this whatsoever, I was in the Countess. It was used to call the West Cheshire Hospital, next door to the Diva Hospital in Chester. So you've got the mental asylum one side, and literally across the road, they had the hospital. And I was giving birth to my first baby, right? I was there on my own, waiting for somebody to come. And I was there, and the window was open. And as I looked through the window, in all this pain, there was a guy, really strange looking guy, and he was smashing his head against the tree. And it petrified me. You know, I was giving birth, I was looking at this guy doing that, and that was my first encounter with anybody who was mentally ill. I had to have the window locked. I was petrified. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But it would scare you, doesn't it? It does scare you.
It does. Nicola says, no, I don't think that at all. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. You always know me. I'm very, very tactical when I'm doing the shows. Well, unless I'm being unprofessional. But here's the thing, guys. If you had to pick right, here's a question. Even people in the chat, if you had to pick an asylum, what one would you explore in the whole entire world? What one would you explore and why?
Well, I wanted to do Newsham, but I've done it. I've done it a couple of months back.
Was it any
Well
good?
worth it. I loved it.
I've not been yet. It's on my bucket list. It's on my
Do you
bucket
know
list.
what? It was
It's gone
amazing.
now, but I would have loved to have gone round that.
Yeah, it's amazing, to be honest with you.
The clock tower's still there.
Yeah,
You know, the
do you
big
know
clock
that?
tower.
Do you know that couple and the two children who do their group? The Adams family, they call them. Yeah. Well, they done it, and I went along, and to be honest with you, it was full on. Absolutely full on. When you get there, you're not going to be disappointed whatsoever. It was amazing. So we just went round with her team first, and then everybody had their own separate things, and then we went on our own. It did not disappoint. I would go back there in a heartbeat. Really would.
We'll have to organise it.
Yes,
Get
that
lowdown.
would be amazing. Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm packing my bags tonight, and I'm going.
I'm going
let's
to
all
pack my
pack
bags tonight, but I'm not going to an asylum.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
I don't know. I feel like I'm getting pretty close to it tonight. The kids are doing my nutting.
Adrian says, this is very true. However, historically, there's been many in asylums that really had no business being put in one. As someone who works in mental health, I do get what you're saying, though. He says, Waverley House Sanatorium is often on the bucket list. Nicola says, I'd love to do one. And the other Nicola, two Nicolas tonight, totally agree. The first patients I nursed there, as they had a child out of wedlock and had been told over 50 years. Others were ex-prostitutes that had contacted the GP and they had brilliant stories to tell. You actually do find that they are very... I love working with people, and I would have loved to work in an asylum, definitely.
I used to run a mental health unit. Does that? It only had 12 people in it, but it was complex needs.
Here comes my boy.
Wee, Nick's here, but yeah, they all had schizophrenia. So that was.
Oh my God!
Day.
Your voice is normal.
It's back. Okay, good. I figured it was back.
Mine's gone instead. I don't know what happened.
He's turned into the chicken.
It's this coffee, I reckon.
Coffee.
So, Nick, since you're just on my suite, mental asylums. Talk to me about it. What is your favourite one? Have you ever done a mental asylum, Nick?
Oh, man, there's so many of them. I think probably one of my favorites out there, and this is one I haven't been to. This was one I haven't been to yet. I was supposed to go. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to, but hopefully I'll have another chance. And that's undoubtedly Penhurst State School and Asylum in Spring City, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Ah, that sounds actually really cool.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, about a year or so ago, I did a Nick Files episode on that location. I even showed the films that were made from that too. There were 2 documentary films that were made while Penhurst was still in operation back in the late 60s. Adrian, I just looked at Louis Armstrong has left the building.
See that, man? Sorry, Nick, carry on. What were you saying?
No, that was it. That was all I had to say.
Is that still on YouTube, Nick?
Huh?
Is it still on YouTube?
It should be. It also should be on Facebook as well, because I broadcasted it on Things Network. And what I actually did there. So these 2 documentary films that I showed on my Nick Files episode, what's interesting is one was actually in color, the other was in black and white. And the first one I showed. In fact, this was back when they actually knew what they were doing. When Ghost Adventures investigated it several years ago, they actually showed clips of the documentary, because in 1968 there was a well-known news anchor that went to document the conditions at Pennhurst, and you only saw clips and you only saw bits and pieces of it from the episode, but I found the full video of it, and I was actually able to show the full thing. It was like a half-hour, 40-minute video, and it showed the rather unfortunate conditions that were going on at Pennhurst at that time, especially. And I think what that, a lot of people that were sent there were like me, who had autism, who had Asperger's, who had different types of disabilities. They even said it was the kind of place where if your child was born disabled, whether mentally or physically, somebody or a local in Spring City would say it is just best that you send your child to Pennhurst and get on with your life. It was essentially one of those places where your kid was forgotten. You never anymore. And that's basically what this, and that's why I think I really like that one, because I can relate to it. And that's what this 1968 news broadcast is. I think the guy that hosted it, I think he's still alive today, as a matter of fact. And then the other documentary film, this was the one that was in black and white. It was shot about the same time, about 1967, 1968. And as bad as it was, it wasn't bad for everybody, however. So that's the interesting part. We watched a film that focused on the negative side, but we also watched one that also focused on the positive side, but only for certain patients, though, that actually received the care and attention that they needed. But nonetheless, I look at those two films and the history that was involved in that place. And honestly, again, as a person with autism myself, I often think to myself, that could have been me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you know
Absolutely.
what? Do you know what? My mother told me a story when I was very young about this young woman who was put away because she had a baby young. Funny, because I was pregnant. She was trying to frighten me, So she was telling me about this lady who got put away in a mental asylum. And as she grew older, she started drawing pictures of rockets, space rockets, but there wasn't any at the time. And they just kept her locked away because they said there's never ever going to be anything like that. And now look what we've got.
Yeah. That's
she was
amazing.
locked away. Yeah.
There's still a lot of Pennhurst operated until the early 90s. So that means that there's still a lot of former patients that are still alive today, that are still affected from what they went through. And perhaps the one that really pushed it over the edge for me was during the 1968 broadcast. They interviewed a patient that was there, and he says that last time he had he said this was the first time he had any type of visitor within years. This was 1968. Like I said, that he was interviewed at. The last time he got a visitor from anybody was almost 30 years prior, in 1940.
Wow.
I'm going to quickly go into the comments, guys. Noreen says there was a documentary about two sisters from Liverpool that were placed in the asylum, and a few others that were placed in the asylum because they were deaf or blind, no mental health issues. Hey, William. Belle says, absolutely, Adrian, I'd love to do a tour around America and do some of the asylums. Hey, Belle. Adrian says, right, how do you pronounce that, Nicholas?
Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
Yep. Do you know, funny enough, I was actually going to talk about that next. Great minds think alike. Nicholas says the best is when you have schizophrenic patients complain about the grey nurse waking them up at night, put down to hallucinations until the staff either seen the nurse or heard her footsteps. This was the one ward I hated working nights. I can imagine. Yeah. Do you know what? What if these patients, right? And I'm being serious, But if these patients, guys, are telling the staff about people that they see, and the person actually does exist, but it's put down to the fact that it maybe be their hallucinations, because Nicola is making an actually very valid point that these patients could be talking about real people, well, actually real people that used to be alive, and it's put down to, oh, well, it's just your hallucinations, we'll up your dosage of meds.
Yeah.
I don't think that's really fair.
I know people, and I've worked, and you most probably have done, Belle, lots of times. I know people like that, and they're telling me in their way about their, these people, and you can hear them talking to them at night time.
Yeah.
Not just in the night time, if they go in the rooms on the daytime, you can hear them, and you say, well, who's told you this about that? Well, so-and-so has.
Yeah.
But one of the things them, don't you? And they're watching them around the room.
Yeah.
Aren't they? Yeah.
Obviously, having worked in mental health for quite a long time, one of the theories, and again, this is my own theory, my own perception, and I'm free to have a debate on it with anyone, is
I'll fight you.
No. We know so little about the human brain, right? We are constantly expanding our knowledge about the human brain. What if these perceived hallucinations aren't actually hallucinations at all? What if people have actually managed to unlock that part of their brain, and the nature of a hallucination is something that we cannot, or the person assessing them cannot perceive. So it's all down to perception, right? If you put a medium, a genuine medium who can see, hear, and communicate with spirit in with mental patients that are having hallucinations, I can guarantee that at least 50% of them would be saying, nah, there's spirits in here. They're talking to spirits. They're not in their imagination. They're not made up people. They are genuine spirits. Like, this is something that I believe very strongly in, that actually people with mental conditions, and I'm putting it very loosely, have actually unlocked another part of their brain where they are able to see, hear, and communicate with spirit.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you know what?
I'm with you on that.
Well, I'm going to fight Belle because I'm a twisted bitch. I just don't agree with you. I think you're talking. Hey, Joe.
Can I throw a theory?
Go on then.
You can throw anything you want as long as you don't hit me.
Well, it's all right, because it's about the first time I've spoken in about 50 minutes.
I know, I bore you. 2 minutes, guys.
And right, okay. Children are susceptible to spirit.
Yeah.
When they get to adulthood, their minds are closed off due to education and being forced into whatever religions and so on and so forth. Could it be that mental health patients are put into a childlike state through medication, and therefore their minds are now open again?
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Do you know what, guys? I don't like when Wayne throws me a theory, because then my brain gets so distracted by what he's saying that I'm actually thinking about it very, very deeply.
You see, despite my kids kicking off over a bit of sauce on a pizza and being contacted by somebody who has already been told that I'm on a podcast, I was still listening. And yeah, you know, up to a certain age, a child is open, and this is obviously part of a theory that children's invisible friends could, in some sense, be a spirit that's around.
Right.
And there are documented cases where children have said, I've been talking to so-and-so, and they've done a bit of research, and it's been found out that somebody of that name, of that age, so on and so forth, was in that area at the time, and had died. So it's possible that when a mental health patient is committed to an asylum and they are given medication, they then revert back to that childlike state. And I used to work in a mental health hospital here in Colchester, And I've seen 80-year-old men walking round like they're 3-year-olds.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
And he would speak to you like he was a 3-year-old. And so that having that childlike state could have, in a sense, opened that mind again to be able to communicate and see these spirits.
I'm gonna counter what you said, Wayne, right? Everybody knows that I've worked with dementia I did work with dementia for 18 years. 18 years. I've lived that, I've breathed that, I've had personal experience there. And 2 minutes, guys, sorry, because the music's playing. Sorry, I do apologise. So I've lived it, I've breathed it, everything, right? The same thing could be said about dementia and Alzheimer's. When they see things now, I've always said I would love to step in the mind of somebody with dementia because I would love to see what they see. Now, I've had many people that have been talking and having a full-blown conversation. Now, there was somebody I used to work with, right? And people told me about what they could do with their voice, like how their voice like changes. And I thought they were kidding. I thought they were kidding me on. And I passed this person's door, and I actually thought there was somebody in their room because I could hear 3 voices in one. And I'm like, that they've got visitors. So I went in to offer tea and coffee, and there was no one there. There was no one there. And they were talking in different voices. It's though their voice was changing. It was like, the only way to describe it is like, it was morphing. Like, they would be talking their normal
personalities, isn't it?
They were changing, like, they were using their normal voice, and then it would go into this English voice. Even though they're Scottish, it would turn into an English voice, and then it would be a really like a deep voice, and it really got me thinking that what is it actually these people see and these people experience? Because it's not the first time that I've been sitting doing paperwork and I've had somebody pass the door and I'm thinking, oh, who's that? And I've ran out and there's nobody in the hall. I've seen that plenty in night shift. I actually, believe it or not, described a patient right down to a T. And they went, how did you know that? I says, because they bypassed the door. I seen them with my own eyes. And honestly, it makes you wonder, right, when we're talking about, obviously, patients, that their hallucinations could be simple, something so simple as a vision that they're seeing of the past or maybe the future. You just never know. Right, guys, I'm going to go into the comments because they're really building now. Hey, Joe. Noreen totally agrees with Bill. Don't tell Bill that you agree with her. She'll get a big heat. I think they're seeing other dimensions. Adrian says, but premonitions or even cross-realm communication. That what you mean, Bella?
Yep. Oh, God, why are they calling me Bella? I'm only that when I'm in trouble.
Spot on, Bella. Joe says, I'm a psychic medium and would love to do that. Nicola says, disagree with that theory. Think if anything, medication tries to close off that state. Adrian says you can attest to that. And Nicola says, I like that vein, same as elderly people in nursing homes. Adrian says the children being more open. I mean, my daughter was one who could talk to others. Lorna. She says, oh, I'm late. Lorna, this is just not good enough. This is like a nearly, you're later than Nick. Joe says, yes, I agree with you on dementia and older people. Nicola says, Adrian, my granddaughter is on the spectrum and regularly seen and talked to spirit. She's now 11. I know she still experiences this, but doesn't want to talk about it. As she said, people will think she's weird, bless her. Still chats to me, not to others. So at least she's still chatting to somebody about it. Adrian says, sorry, Belle, it was a typo. I'll kick him in the shins.
You're forgiven, Adrian.
But it is one to think about, guys. It is really one to question that. And it's been really, do you know what, guys? I found this chat really, really interesting. Really interesting. Right, Tim, I know you're sitting there very quietly. Come on, talk to me.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm really tired tonight. I don't know why.
That'll be the
I can't get a word in edgeways.
Pardon?
I says I can't get a word in edgeways for you.
I know, I'm shattered, to be honest. I've had
my
a busy
wee lord.
day tattooing and...
Yes, everybody, if you love tattoos, I will post a link for Tim's page. It's actually on my Willow page. So if you are friends with me on the
tell me.
Right, give me to. I'll post the link. Carry down, Isabella.
Yeah.
Right. Adrian says, I think missions are going to hurt. Lo says she's going to kick me in the shins every show. I do not say that I'm going to kick you every show.
You do.
Hey, what's up?
Don't agree with him. Kelly says Scooby-Doo. 2 seconds, guys, to see where is Tim's Tim? Oh, there he is.
I'm here.
It's in by hand 2024. I'm just going to post the link.
Oh, thank you.
So if you're into tattoos, guys, and you're from England, go and check out Tim. He's a good man. Wait a minute, I'll put this out. I know I'm a good soul. Just don't tell everybody, they'll get jealous.
No, I'm wasted tonight. I'm on my wine, aren't
I? What's your Willow page, Lois? I'll tell you, it's Willow Morgan. That's what the Facebook's called. That's where I keep all my podcasts and I advertise everything. Where the new Oh, Nicola's away. Bye, Nicola. She's going to be up at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Adrian says it's well deserved, though, guys. I'm a pain in the ass, a fucking huge one. So, Maureen says, my granddaughter, when she was 3, used to talk to a little girl. She said she was crying for her mummy and covered in sores. After a few months, it stopped, and she said she saw an older girl come and took her to her mummy. Oh, that's dead sweet. Nicola says, I am going back over 20 years, but I had a patient from Africa in a catatonic state. When family arrived, they were disgusted that she had been admitted to a hospital as she'd been hexed for having an affair. Took her back to her village to get her hex lifted. Jeez, oh. And Kelly's laughing.
Yeah, that's quite common, particularly in a lot of sort of African things. They don't generally recognise mental health. They see it as sort of a curse, a hex. It's voodoo. It's all of that kind of thing. They don't necessarily recognise mental health. There's been known sort of. I guess it's like exorcism type things actually performed in mental hospitals when families have come to visit, and it's very you have to be extremely careful who you allow in and who you don't, because they will literally start trying to like cleanse them of this hex in there, and it's a whole safeguarding scenario.
there's still a lot of places in Western society that still think that mental health is just a state of mind that something has been put on them by somebody else, like curses or voodoo or something like that.
Or being punished by God. That's a big one.
I mean, it's like when, what's his face? Glenn Hoddle mentioned about people that are disabled have been being punished for something they did in a previous life.
Yeah.
You know, that caused controversy. And it's, you know, it just proves that people in Western society, some people in Western society and some places in Western society still believe in these possibilities.
Do you know, that would be an interesting show if we did talk about hexes, if they're real or not. Lorna, I think I've sent you a friend's request. If no, somebody's got a friend's request for Willow. I think I've added you, Lorna, so I'm not too sure, honey. But yeah, it's one of those ones where it would be interesting to talk about hexes, to talk about, you know, because it is a fair point which you do wonder if somebody's omitted because they may have a hex. Is it the power of suggestion? Is it actually real? Because hexes, a lot of people are kind of, no, they don't exist. But I'm on the fence. I think it's a power of suggestion. If you believe that you have a hex on you, like that kind of way, if you keep telling yourself, oh my God, I've got a hex, I've got a hex, I've got a hex, oh, somebody's gave me a hex, then it's going to go in your brain if you keep telling your brain the same thing. So it's quite interesting. Nori says, the name of the little girl was carved in a wooden totem in the house that freaked me out. Nick's disappeared on me, Nick! Kelly says, like in Aussie-land, our mental health, in fact, all hospitals are shit here. Straight to the point, Kelly, that's what I love about you. Noreen says, I think hexes is about belief in the tent. If you believe it, you manifest it. I 100% agree with Noreen. Because that's like me saying, right, I'm going to pick on Nick, right? So me and Nick fell out. I've had enough of Nick. Nick's had enough of me. And I've decided I'm going to hex your ass. And then Nick's like that, sit and think to yourself, oh my God, Lois has hexed me. What do I do? Sort of thing. And it's just, Nick, how would you feel if I hexed your ass?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
And you're talking about hexes, perfect film to watch, Thinner by Stephen King.
Oh, yes, Thinner. Yeah.
Amazing film.
I know of that movie. Yep.
What's it called again?
Thinner.
It's a Stephen King tale.
Yeah.
Do you know, I've looked at that but never ever actually watched it.
It's a brilliant film. And that, it does prove the point, though, because he gets hexed. He gets cursed by a gypsy. And all his friends are telling him there's no such thing as curses. Don't be stupid. And because he's rather rotund, throughout the film, he starts getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And he believes it's all because of this gypsy. So he takes it upon himself to do something about it. But all his friends keep saying, no, that's just you. It's a really good film. It's a definite watch.
Definitely. Noreen says, I think if you believe it, you attribute all the negative experiences to it.
Yeah.
Adrian says, Nick, you may want to speak to your Czech friend about coming on for that hex show.
I could try, although the only problem is because I was talking to her a few times while we did the show yesterday. Unfortunately, however, she did say that She doesn't really speak much English, but she's able to like chat through typing. So I'm not sure if I could really get her on. Oh, geez, where did just
Where did
lost?
Tim go?
Yeah, where'd Tim go?
It's got to get another bottle of wine.
I'm just going to message you. God love him. He's really, really tired tonight. God love him.
Wrecked, isn't he?
But yeah,
He is. God love him.
It's not a bad idea. It just I just don't think she knows that much English, unfortunately, because she speaks mostly Czech. So the only chance would be again like through Messenger that I actually communicate with her.
Adrian says fell asleep at the keys. Oh, God love him. Right, give me 2 minutes, guys. I'm going to jump and give him a wee phone and make sure he's all right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so see, we've got this old. You were talking before about building on old places which have been knocked down. So we've got in Holywell, by St Winifred's Well, in that town in North Wales. There's an old. It's a hospital, but it's like a poorhouse. It used to be a poorhouse as well, many years ago. So for years it's been empty. Years and years, and we went in there. There was about 5 of us in the day. We went for a walk in there. We got in. It was all open at the back. We were only in there 15 minutes. We had to come out. I've never been so scared in my life. Honest to God, that's not me.
Wow.
We were watching shadow people. We heard something. We turned round. There was about 3 or 4 shadow people. And they were walking towards us where we got out of there quickly. I have never been so scared in my life. Petrified me.
Jeez.
But that was like, of course, they'd have had people living there, dying there. All the old people went there to die with dementia, and it's been through everything, that place. And now they've built it into flats. They've got new flats on the land. And I often go past and I think, do you know what? They don't know what they're buying. They really don't know what they're buying.
But what would be interesting? We talk about obviously the people that obviously the staff, medical staff, we talk about the patients, but we never ever talk about the people that, like the builders that build after it. I wonder if they've had any experience, any of the builders that have built stuff when they're doing these places up. I wonder, it's always made me wonder.
I think
Adrian says that. Sorry.
I think you'll find anybody that would have worked in the building or worked on the building it or painting it or anything like that. Anybody that's in that area at the time when something wants to manifest will experience something.
Yeah.
Obviously, once you've done the comments, I've got an experience from when I worked in a mental health institute, and it was quite terrifying for a number of members of staff. So,
2 seconds, I'll see what Adrian's saying. Adrian says, Nick, I just know the cultures over there, the old ways and such, still hold the hexes, spells and whatnot. Even in the chat, I'd be curious to have a point of view. Lorna says they sound like cruel places too, the poor houses. I mean, Noreen says, we had a shadow man in my parents' house and he scared the living daylights out of me. He used to stand at the bottom of the stairs. A gypsy came one day selling charms. She said to Mum that there was a curse on the property and she would need to remove it. And we'd never seen him again. It was strange. Oh, hi, Chris. Chris says, hey, just popped in to say hello. My voice is breaking. So go away.
I'll go. Bye. No.
Oh, no, I don't mean literally go. Wake me up before you go.
Oh, really? We know what our song's about.
After I left the Royal Air Force, I was doing chef's training. And obviously, to tide myself over with an income, I was working for an agency. And they specified in catering. And the hospital that I was sent to was Severals Hospital in Colchester, and that was for our area. That was where you went to if you were sectioned. And the place itself was massive. Even when I was at secondary school, you'd hear a siren go off and everybody would say, right, all the kids have got to stay in the school because a patient has escaped from Severals. So when I ended up working up there, the company itself was a big catering firm that supplied food for a lot of hospitals in East Anglia. And I was sent to what they called the end unit. And they were responsible for preparing the food and putting the food on the trolleys to go out to the wards. You had about 6 medical health units, which were more for the old people. And then you had the mental health wards, and there was about 10 of those. And then you had outbuildings as well. So each outbuilding would hold about 10 patients. And some were lock-ins and some were free to go as they please. The very first day I worked there, we were sent down to the staff room to get some white jackets. So me and this other member of staff walking down this corridor, and no word of a lie, these corridors, even during the daytime, were scary.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Simply because maintenance guys, they didn't regularly paint the walls that often. Every 3 or 4 years, maybe they would get a lick of paint. So towards the end of that 4-year cycle, the paint would be peeling off the wall and all sorts. It looked like a bit of a ruin, really. But at night time, it took on a whole new appearance. But anyhow, as we're walking down to the staff room, we see this lady, little old lady, walking up the other way towards us. And she was talking to herself, or we thought she was talking to herself. And as she got closer, we heard her voice say, "No need to be jealous of me." And I turned around to the other guy and I said, "Walk single file and stick to the right-hand side of the wall." And he went, "Why?" I said, "Because," and I weren't being funny about it. Right. I was being serious. I knew something was going to happen.
Yeah.
So we literally both went single file down the right-hand side of the corridor. And then as she got level with us, she goes, "Oh, smack you." And all of a sudden her arm disappeared and it went whoom, straight across. Hit my mate that I was with. I ducked, so I got out the way of it. And at the time, I don't know whether this was real or not, but we were told you've got 5 seconds to react. So whether that's to put her in a hold so that you can get away, or just run like hell, or just push her out the way, whatever. You had 5 seconds to do something to stop her. And then get out quick. So I just ducked and pushed my mate out the way, and we run down to this staff room. Told all the staff what was going on. They said, "Don't worry, that was Joanne." And we're like, "Right, okay, no problem." But this Joanne got a reputation. She was a bit of a, how can I put it? A lady of the night, I suppose. Only she didn't take money. She took cigarettes.
Yeah.
So she got given the name Shag for a Fag. And on a number of occasions, you would see her with some of the male clientele out on the grounds on a park bench or on a tree or somewhere, and she'd be getting her cigarettes. But night time, all the patients were kept in the wards, but the lights were put on dim. So although staff were still walking about, it was advisable you took a torch with you. And it was horrible because you could hear some of the patients in some of the wards still shouting, screaming, calling out. And after a while, the catering company asked me to work for them rather than this agency. So I swapped over, started working for them, and I got promoted to the head chef of the staff restaurant. And I was responsible for preparing and cooking all of the food for the staff at the hospital that would come in for meals. I would cook 2 lots of meals from scratch every day for the staff to have, which then became more popular than the pre-cooked crap that I had to reheat for them. But I also had to do functions. So I was preparing buffets to be held in the main hall. And one day I had one of my staff, Lynn, came down to pick up the trolley full of food to take to this main hall. And we'd heard rumours, but chose to ignore them. And she went off with the trolley with food and some tea urns and stuff on. And it was about 10 minutes later, she came running back. And Lynn was not exactly the fittest of people. And she was
talking about one like that.
But she was rather big. Not this Lynn. Okay. definitely not you, Lynn. She was like 4 times the size of you. She was quite big. She came back in, her face was literally dripping with sweat, white as anything. I said, what's the matter? What's the matter? What's going on? And she said, I went into the hall, I unlocked the door, and I went into the hall. And this hall is locked all the time, permanently, and we were the only ones with the keys. And she said, I went in, I went over and set up the tables. I put the food and the tea urns on the table, and I kept hearing this knocking. So I went, right. She said, and me being me, went to look to see if it was somebody at the door. So basically, she went over to the door. There's no one there, but she kept hearing this knocking. And I went, right. She said, but as I turned to my left to where the stage was, they'd got a stage right next to this main door. She saw the curtain moving, and that freaked her out. And I went, right, did you go and check to see what that was? And she went, no, she said, because before I could get to the curtain, I saw a foot. And I went, a foot? She said, yeah, and it was about 8 foot off the floor. Ooh. That's why I'm back here. And I went, right, okay. Well, I was friends with a guy who was working on the maintenance set, and I asked him if there was anything significant about that hall. And he asked me why, and I said, because Lynn's just come back all sort of huffy-puffy. Said, saw the curtain moving and saw a foot. And he went, right. And he said, come down. He said, because if something's going on, he said, we'll go back down and have a look. So we've gone back down. I've taken a trolley full of stuff with me to put on the tables. And as we're there, we kept hearing this constantly on something. I looked up and saw the curtain moving. So I've gone straight over there. I've moved the curtain apart. No foot, nothing. But the banging had stopped. And he went, you heard it, didn't you? I said, well, yeah, that's why I've just run over. I said, because I saw the curtain move. I've moved the curtain, so there's nothing there. And he went, right. He said, now I'll tell you a bit of history. He said, 10 years ago, a man named Charlie hung himself from that stage. And the tapping you heard and the foot that Lynn had seen was his feet tapping against the side of the wall.
Wow.
He said, and it was me and another guy that he was working with had to take the body down from the take the rope off the rafter of the stage. And then the medical staff took him away.
Wow.
And
by the way, know what we should do as a show? Sorry, interrupting, because I'll say it while in my head. No problem. Oh, Nick with the sexy legs. Nick with the sexy legs. I had to see your legs.
Did you notice though? Nick went invisible man mode. He took his shirt off and disappeared.
He did.
I
did.
Well, obviously, do you know what? We'll start calling him Nick the sexy legs. What was the subject in my head? Right, haunted morgues. We should do haunted morgues, but no, what we should add into the haunted morgues is about the people that have ended up found alive when they're going to die. That would be a quite interesting subject. So it would be.
Do we do a bit about the common misconception of all these chains and stuff being put around graves and everybody going, oh, because they were vampires or they're zombies, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, grave robbers, mate. Grave robbers.
Yeah.
I must admit, though, I do like the story behind the gravestones with the bell on it. because certain medications can make the appearance of death. And some people were misdiagnosed as being dead and buried alive. And when they came out of it, they'd suffocate. So they started burying people with bells linked to the gravestone so that if they did wake up or come out of that paralysis, they were able to ring the bell and rescue them.
Oh, God, do you know what? It doesn't bear thinking about that, does it? Imagine waking up and you're in a small box, you don't know where you are, and it's pitch black.
Yeah, you're fumbling about in the box trying to find the chain to pull the bell. Right.
What do they tie it to?
Huh? Where's the bell?
Right, guys, I'm going to go.
More to the point, think of the poor sod that's just walked through the churchyard and that's walking past the grave as it starts ringing.
Oh,
Right. Well, that's true. Right. Chris is laughing. Kelly says, do you all believe that ghosts take your energy? 2 minutes and we'll come back to that one, Kelly. Noreen says, I would never go upstairs if nobody else was in the house. Adrian says, there's no butcher will transfer energy from a source readily available, but the damn autocorrect. Sarah Louise says, I've been under a section and it's terrifying. Noreen says, people in trance were buried, weren't they, Ben?
Yeah.
Adrian and Lorna are saved by the bell.
That's where the term saved by the bell came from.
Yeah.
Marjorie McCallgrave, I visit often. Her headstone reads, lived once, buried twice. Going back to Kelly's question, what is your thoughts, guys? Do you all believe that ghosts take your energy? See, to be fair, I'm going to be really honest, Kelly. I honestly do, because when I wake up the next day, I honestly feel like I have no life in me. And everybody calls it a paranormal hangover.
Yep.
And my God, I feel so rough. I really, really do believe that ghosts, they take your energy. As mental as it sounds, I do believe in it. What about you guys' opinion?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
when I'm out investigating, if things are a little bit quiet and there's not much going on, I like to do something called an energy vortex, and that's when everybody gets in a circle, holds hands, and we all picture a white light running from right to left into the next person, and then so on. So it goes round the circle, and then once everybody feels comfortable with that, the energy vortex has been built. And then you call out to spirit and you tell them to collect the joint energy to manifest or to do something. But it has to be given willingly. And the spirit will take it.
Isn't it? Yeah.
But you also get energy vampires. And that can even be classed as the living as well as the deceased. And that is when people or spirit can absorb your energy without your permission. So it's but yeah, I mean, generally I'm quite happy to turn around to a spirit and say, look, use my energy, come and touch this, come and do something, make a noise and things like that.
How many times do they drain your batteries? You could buy new ones. You know, you could be one of these people, a bit like me. I buy new batteries. If I'm going to go out, use anything, I take new batteries. Everything's new.
Apparently,
that's why I use a wind-up torch.
Hello, Lolo. Long time. Hello, Lynn. Long time to hello. Lady Mystical Light Worker.
Don't know.
Long time. Who are you?
We'll say hi anyway.
I'll say hi, but apparently they know me and Lynn. I believe they drain you. Adrian says, well, I'm proven wrong by popular opinion and experience. Learn something new every day. Thank you. Chris says, some take your energy, some will sometimes give you a zap. There's an old gravestone near me, and some headstones have old bells, but it's long rusted away. But you can still see where it is. Yep, and I've read that one as well. Oh, it's Donna. Sorry, Donna. Because you've changed your name that many times, I can't keep up with you. You're like a secret agent.
It's like Nick yesterday being Louis Armstrong.
It's like Nick went from Louis Lance to Nick. And I went from low to I'm not Wayne. Donna's laughing. Oh, guys, what a show.
Before we end, I actually did want to bring up one other asylum that I'm surprised none of you
Sorry, sweetheart, just say, whoa, shut up. I'm doing the show here.
Whoa, shut up.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's actually what I should have brought this up earlier. It's actually a place that I've been to myself, which is the it was formerly known as the Athens Mental Lunatic Asylum, or what's now known as today as the Ridges, which is located out in Athens, Ohio. And I'm going to be honest, I got some pictures of the place, but I want to show you guys like what it actually looks like, and you guys will agree that while it is certainly a beautiful building, at the same time it does kind of have that creepy, unsettling look to it. So here, give me a second while I'm getting this up. So here, check this out. So this is a picture of it during its operation days.
Looks good.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Look at that. That building looks cracking.
Can you imagine that in the dark with a bit of light behind it?
Yeah.
Amazing.
It was built in the what do they call that? It was a type of style that a lot of the asylums back in the 19th century were built. It was using the what was it called? The Kirkbride plan, where it had that kind of bat wing look to it. If you kind of look at it a very careful way, it almost looks like a smaller version. It reminds me a little bit of like Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Yeah. Do you know something, Nick? I just love you because you bring these pictures out, and I'm just it just makes me want to pack my bags and come and explore it. I know it won't look like that now, but when you look back then, it's just like mind blowing.
Actually, you'd be surprised because the building is still there today. So therefore, I have a photo of what it looks like today, and you could see.
Oh wow, love it! Absolutely love it.
This was originally built back between 1868 and 1873, and it was known as. It went through multiple names. Although most people remember it as the Athens Lunatic Asylum, but it wasn't until 1873 when it officially opened its doors. And this place definitely had, of course, yes, it did have your typical stories of some patient abuse and stuff, but honestly, even though there probably was some of that occurred in this place, I don't think it was as severe as other mental health facilities at that time.
Yeah.
So although this was one of those classic locations where unfortunately lobotomies and electroshock therapy were performed, there was actually a well-known doctor that was known to frequent this building several times. I don't remember his actual name, but he was known as Dr. Lobotomy because he would travel around the country and would use his tools or his ice picks, as he would call it. And this guy could do it literally for 20 lobotomies a day, because all it would take would be just 20, 30 seconds just to get into someone's head and spin it around and destroy the frontal lobe, and then off he went. So, but this building was basically in operation for over 100 years.
Wow.
So now, it does leave a mysterious story behind, because almost over 100 years after it originally opened in 1979, the Athens Lunatic Asylum was officially closed. The patients were transferred, all but one, however, because there was a woman who was a patient at this hospital. Her name was Margaret Schilling. Now, here's an interesting. I actually have a photograph of herself. Actually, this is an actual photograph of Margaret. So
Wow.
she apparently had gone missing within the building. They searched the institution 3 times. They couldn't find her anywhere. It was believed, especially based on her appearance, that I think she had like Down syndrome, or she had some type of I don't know if it was Down syndrome or another type of disability, but the story goes was that she was either trying to find a way to escape the building, or the most popular theory was that she was actually playing with one of the staff members hide and seek, and she ended up going into one of the tower buildings that was no longer being used. And the family of Schilling, the Schilling family had to, they had to conduct several searches, and they just couldn't find her. But it was believed that she got locked up in one of the towers that wasn't being used. After, I think, about 2 months or so, her body was finally discovered. And when the missing body was found, her missing body was found, it left a bizarre imprint. Unfortunately, by the time she was found, it was the weirdest thing. It was unknown if she was trying to call for help or anything, but she took her clothes off and then folded them neatly on the top of the tower, and then she laid right on the cold concrete floor. And like I said, by the time they found her, though, unfortunately, her body was already decomposed.
Wow.
And when I said it left a bizarre imprint, this is what it left, and it's still there today. Check this out.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Hey,
That's still there today.
Bless her. Oh.
And here's the creepiest thing too, by the way. Obviously, when they first discovered it, they immediately washed the stain, but mysteriously the stain came back. No matter how many times they try cleaning it up, the stain would always come back.
What a shame. That's awful, that. Bless
It
her.
was. It really was.
sorry guys. Sorry.
Mhm.
Good?
I'm all good. It's just Bedlam. Talking about Bedlam, Lorna's asking, was Bedlam an actual place?
Yes, it was. It was founded in
Yep.
1330, and the site is actually still there now, but it's actually a museum. You can go and visit it in London. If any of you ever go to London, I would highly recommend it. It has all of the history of mental health in there. But
Wow.
yeah, it was called Bethlehem. So it wasn't Bedlam, it was called Bethlehem, but it had overpopulation and overcrowding. So it was called Bedlam. Its nickname was Bedlam. That's where we get the phrase from. It's like Bedlam in here, because it was extremely overpopulated.
Sorry, Nick, are you not done yet? I thought you were done.
I was actually going to get close to the end of this. What was kind of
All right, sorry, Nick, I thought you were finished.
What was actually even creepier about the state, and this actually ended in tragedy as well. In fact, I did a Nick Files episode on this place. Not only did the stain always keep coming, this imprint kept coming back. In addition, as you can imagine, I mean, a building like you guys just saw, you could tell, no doubt, that a building like that is definitely haunted. So it's believed, of course, her spirit is still, wandering the halls of the old Athens building, along with several other patients that supposedly also have this place too. But like I said, this stain also ended in tragedy, not just for her, but for somebody else. Because here's the other thing about this building: although it is open to the public, this was not taken by, because I said to you guys, I went there. This was not taken by me. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, the elevator only was able to get us up to the second floor. We couldn't get up to the towers. So I wasn't able to see the stain myself. But what this tragedy I was going to get to was that 2 years after when Margaret had originally passed away, the the entire building actually became property of Ohio University. So it's now part of the university grounds. And it's a popular place for a lot of the college students to check it out around Halloween, of course. But this tragedy I was going to say was that in 1981, there was a student who touched this he claimed that this dead woman's spirit followed her back to her dorm room. Because, and this was discussed actually on one of the old paranormal shows, Scariest Places on Earth. She said one night she was asleep. She then opened somehow something compelled her to open her eyes, and she actually saw a face floating level with her head. It was a woman's face. This, of course, freaked her out, obviously. Really frightened her. But for some strange reason, no one heard from her for about 2 or 3 days. So they went in to check on the student to see what was wrong, and they discovered a horrific scene. She had killed herself in that room.
Oh my God.
But she claimed she was being haunted by the spirit of who died at the Athens Lunatic Asylum.
I'll tell you what, wouldn't that be good to go in that room and sit there and talk to her?
When I went, I was trying to figure out, because again, we were only able to get up to the first and second floors. So I'm not sure why we couldn't get access into the towers. Something tells me you probably have to get permission from staff members at the university to give access, because they're probably the ones that hold the keys, to that part of the building. I know they've done ghost tours and investigations, so it's not like they wouldn't allow anybody up there.
Okay.
And it should also be noted, more importantly, in addition to the Athens Lunatic Asylum, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but they even said this on one of the old shows. That's not the only building that's said to be haunted, by the way. Quite a majority of Ohio University's buildings are haunted because it's located in the town of Athens. And it is said that, according to the British Society for Psychical Research, the 13th most haunted place on Earth is Athens, Ohio.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That really is crazy.
What's even creepier, and again, the university actually has a file on this, including on the asylum themselves. You would think immediately they must have got this from the TV show, but no, they actually wrote this themselves. They have a document in the university that's called the Spook Files. Yeah, funny enough, so it's the most heavily used case that they use at the university, and the reason why Athens is such a very haunted town is not just, again, because of the asylum itself. Documents actually reveal a disturbing link between 5 local cemeteries and the town of Athens itself. Let me just get this up real quick, because I should have had this up too while I was showing the pictures. Fortunately, it won't be too difficult to find. So give me 1 second here while I look. Okay, so you got these 5 different cemeteries throughout the town of Athens, right? So if you look and you compare them all together, okay. So now I got the picture. So give me 1 second here as I'm getting it up, and it is kind of, like I said, it is actually kind of disturbing. If you look, I don't know if you can really see it from the air, but if you compare and look where all the cemeteries are located, when these 5 cemeteries are connected, you'll see this right away. They actually form a pentagram right in the center of.
Oh,
right,
wow.
Yeah, they form a pentagram around the city of Athens, with the center of one of the most haunted campuses of the building, which is Wilson Hall, dead set in the center.
Holy shit. That is mental.
Yeah.
That is really, really mental. Wow. You learn something new every day.
And I've been to most of the cemeteries. How I actually got there, funny enough, it turned out, so almost 10 years ago, my parents and we actually went out to Point Pleasant, West Virginia for the Mothman Festival. And after, which was a great festival, by the way, one of the only Paracons I ever know of that really takes place outside. But it turned out we were not too far from Athens, Ohio. So we kind of took a detour in a way because we were also close to the West Virginia, Ohio border. It was only about an hour away, I think, from Point Pleasant. So we took the detour and we went down, I think it was southwest. And there was another place I wanted to go to originally in Ohio, but unfortunately, we would have had to go northwest instead. So we were kind of in the fork of a road, and I had to make one of two choices. It was either Athens or this other place, and I was leaning on to go to Athens. So that's when we took the drive, and we went to. There's, in fact, I can't show it now, but there actually is a live video of me checking out the cemeteries that we went to.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's completely unbelievable. And I have one final thing I'm going to present about this. This might actually be some of the best details. It's a video, in fact. It's about, Lois, do you mind if I spare 2.5 minutes showing this?
Oh, I don't know, Nick. I think I'm going to be really unhappy about it.
Just play it, Nick.
Yeah. This
Don't you overrule me, bitch.
This is, well, I'm actually going to play the video on here, not just share it. I uploaded it. So this will provide some details of the building itself, along with some of the cemeteries. And it's not every day we usually get to play a video on here. So here, check this. And they actually have that old style footage, like it was shot like years earlier. So here, check this out. You guys tell me what you think afterwards.
Wow, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Very
Oh,
cool.
that was really amazing. Right, guys, I'm going to quickly go in the comments because it's gone wild in there. Kelly, I'm going to leave your question just now, and I'll come back to it in a sec once I've finished. Donna says, "Oh, hello, Nick." They were asking if it's Gothic. Adrian and Noreen. Donna says,
style.
"Wow, that's a building is huge." Sarah Louise said, "When I was sessioned, I was taken to the hospital at night, and at the hospital they had a water tower, as it was really old and it was a full moon. It was so spooky." Adrian went Walter Jackson Freeman II. Noreen says, etc. was a commonplace treatment for depression, scary, etc. Hey, David. Donna says, "Wow." David says, "Wow." Donna says on it, print. Nicola says, "Wow, how sad, poor woman." Sarah Louise said, "Stephen Fry did a documentary on mental health." Hey, Robert. Lorna says, "Wowsies." David's talking, and Adrian goes, "And here comes the feisty. I'll show you, feisty boy." David says, "Right." Nicola says, "Nicola, God's sake." Robert says, "Nick's voice sounds better. You're damn right compared to mine." Donna says, "This breaks my heart and creeps me out at the same time." Wow. They're having a conversation, so I'm going to leave it out.
Walter Jackson.
Yeah.
And looked at the
Robert's laughing. Hey, Robert, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
To answer everyone's question very quickly, because some people were asking if it was Gothic. No, it was built kind of a combination of two, late 19th and 20th century revivals and late Victorian. So it wasn't Gothic, it was late Victorian.
Kelly,
Victorian look.
Kelly's asking, has anyone done research on how long your life you live for, or you do your own research? Has anybody done research on how long you live, or you do your own research? I'm not quite sure, Kelly. I'm not quite getting that one, sweetheart. I'm so sorry. I do apologise. But it has been a fantastic show, guys. Next week.
Excuse me, miss.
Oh, you're telling me, Wayne. On you go.
Right, Noah, shut up. For 30 seconds. Right, I've spent ages trying to find a photo, and I managed to find one. This is an example of the halls. Well, this was one of the corridors in Severals Hospital, Colchester.
I'm going to zoom in on that so we can get a better look. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Love it.
Wow.
That itself was one of the short corridors. And there was about, I think it was about 7 or 8 of them. But they did sort of decorate them quite nicely.
Wait. Hang on. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Oh, I really love it. I really love it.
But obviously at night time, it took a completely different look. And this one is one that was someone had spotted. It was an urbexer.
Probably just like the
and he was at a junction.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely love it.
What I was going to
scurrying.
You know what I was going to say was just like the ridges. Just like the ridges I was just showing you guys. I mean, it's beautiful during the day, but like, imagine if it was like you saw it at nighttime. It would have been a different story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah. The thing is, a lot of those are all connected to the main building, and the main building itself was listed. So they're not really allowed to touch the main building itself, which is that section there.
Okay.
Right.
It looks a little bit like the asylum.
Can you still get in there?
Yeah.
No, because what they've done is all of that's been sealed off, and they're turning it into flats or apartments or something like that. But all of the wards and I think the main hall was listed, so they couldn't touch that. And then the main admin building, they weren't allowed to touch either.
Oh, God.
But everything else was able to be taken down, and then they put in plans to put in a housing estate all around it.
Oh dear,
Yeah.
no, they really
So
don't know what to buy into there.
So now there is an entire housing estate on that land, but the self-sufficient houses that Severals Hospital had are still being used as a
Oh.
mental health house.
Right.
So there are still mental health patients on the grounds.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, it's similar to like what I was just shown, because with the ridges, I mean, what it's now being used, as you guys saw, although it is a museum today, and it's part of the university, there are some parts where the university actually use it for like a nature reserve or something like that. But I know they've also have been allowing some investigation. And you got to admit, I mean, both those places certainly have something in common with each other. I mean, they both started off as asylums. They're extremely haunted, but most importantly, too, I couldn't really get a good view of the place you were showing, Wayne. But if you looked, obviously, with the Athens Mental Health Center, you could see it was situated up on a hill. There was all these woods all over the place. I mean, it's your classic mental asylum in the woods. That kind of echoes a little bit of that building, along with Waverly Hills Sanatorium, which is just a state away from that. But
originally when I worked there weren't no trees in amongst the hospital grounds. They were all around the edge.
Yeah.
And it was only a thin line of trees, because behind that you had farmers' fields. And I think the last patient that ever escaped from there, his body was actually found in amongst the cornfield behind the hospital.
Oh wow! Yeah, in the case of the ridge, it's up on a hillside with woods surrounding it, and then just across the street is a river that still exists today. Yeah, although now if you go to that area, I mean, you only saw the building itself, but there were several other buildings that's not far from the asylum, because that's where Ohio University is now.
Yeah. Right, guys.
Problem was with that one, they'd left it so long to be able to sell the property for it to be used for development that it literally had overgrown, and all the inside of the buildings had all sort of started to crumble and fall apart. And there's one particular ward where it was almost as if there was black paint under the walls, and when the paint cracked, this black paint had dribbled through, and it looked like the walls were bleeding.
Wow.
Wow.
I can't. I'll see if I can dig out the photo, and I'll put it on the on the.
Do you know what they used to? Sorry, darling. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Carry on.
They used to like tar the walls,
They did.
Didn't they? Because I remember my grandmother's house. She had a board of it was like a tile, but it was like a cardboardy, but it wasn't. But underneath, they were all put on with like a black tar, and you couldn't get. Do you remember that, Belle? Have you seen anything like that? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my grandparents showing me photos of that and saying it was the most economical way of doing it.
Yeah.
And
so
it kept the
maybe
heat
possibly that could have been what people were seeing. Because if it's tar and it warms up, it's going to drip, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I could also end this, just literally right before we end, I'd like to show this final picture that I have, because I thought it'd be important to show all this talk about the Athens Lunatic Asylum. So real quick, here's my little visit I had over there.
Oh,
You got a moustache there. You've got a pontash.
Yes, I do.
I'm for that.
This was shot back in, like I said, this was shot back in 2016. And as hard as it looks, I was 23 then.
Wow.
This was one of probably one of the earliest pictures I took where I take my poses a lot in front of notorious haunted locations. Unfortunately, I didn't take it in black and white that time, but I don't think we could have came at a more perfect time, because as you could see, yes, the building still looks the same, but as you can see from the sky, it was that overcast, kind of cloudy gray feel to it. It just had that eerie feel. So it was a perfect day to go out to the ridges.
Yeah.
I've just found a picture of the main hall where we heard the banging against the wall.
Oh, really?
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Can we have a close up, please, Nick?
Oh, wait, yeah. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Here we go.
Wow.
Do you know what? That's very much like a Methodist church, isn't
It
it?
is.
I actually thought it was
even like a dance hall,
that's exactly what I was
or a swimming pool.
That's actually what I was about to say, Linda. To me, it looks more like a ballroom.
Yeah. Well, that was used. It was a multi-function hall, and that door to the left on the picture led into the corridors where the patients were allowed to walk freely. And literally just 30 steps down the corridor was where the staff restaurant was, where I used to work.
Right.
Oh wow.
That's amazing.
That was cool.
Yeah.
It is. Right, guys, I'm so sorry to be rude, right? But we're at the 2 hour mark, and we've got another show next.
Yep.
But what I'll do is, guys, I'm going to make a part 2, because I didn't know how popular this actual subject was going to be tonight. So I'm going to make a part 2 at some point to carry on the conversation. So I'm going to quickly go into the comments. Sarah Louise, thank you so much, honey. She's really enjoyed the night. Adrian says, not really sure I want to know the answer to how long my life is. I'll just fly through and hope for the best. She's talking about ghost taking energy. I'll come back to you, Kelly, in a wee minute, sweetheart. Noreen says, that looks heavy, Wayne. Robert says, great show, really opens my eyes. Thank you for even coming in. It's been a pleasure having you, and I'm glad you've took something from it. Sarah Louise says, look up the old hospital in Whitchurch, Cardiff, the corridors or something else. Adrian says, the rats in a maze. That's Whitchurch. Good night, Donna. Sarah Louise says, that's where she was sectioned. I'll come back to you in a minute, sweetheart. So she put up the place and the thingy. If we go, you'll have to join us. I'm definitely there, David. Please, I've packed my bags already. Adrian says 100%. Kelly says, so glad I got to see you all. Take care. Bye, Kelly.
Bye, Kelly.
Well, Sarah Louise says, Wayne, it looks like Whitchurch Hospital. Going quickly back to Kelly's comment, look at into ghosts, etc. Taking your energy affect your love time. Look down that rabbit hole. Even people that have abilities, it affects them too. Kelly, what I'll do is we will look at that question. But I totally agree with what you're saying. So quickly, guys. So next week, Nick is doing a 2 week part special, Galveston. Next week on Friday, Ghouls and Ghouls. That was a bit of a Freudian slip there. Oh, tell me about it. I haven't said that in a long time, so I don't know why it's coming in my head. Richard Russell from Dutch Courage will be joining us. He's an interesting chap, so that will be a good one. I'm so sorry to cut it short, guys. Next is Joe with the retro show. So yeah, guys, everybody have a good weekend. Stay safe and take care, guys. See you later.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.